Okay, we're joined now by Elvedin Ramani, who is the product manager of HMT Alternative Proteins at Holac Maschinenbau, a German company with global presence that offers cutting machines designed to process plant-based ingredients such as soy, pea, beans, lentils, and more into various textures and sizes, making them ideal for use in novel foods such as cheese and meat alternatives. Elvedin, welcome to Protein Production Technology International.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much, Nick.
It's an honor. It's an honor. So let's just get it straight into the equipment. What role does precision cutting play in achieving high quality alternative protein products, and how does Holac's technology ensure product consistency and minimize
Mhm.
waste?
So when we look onto the cutting, cutting is a really important plays a really important role in the whole process because when we go from usually from extrusion or any cooking process, we end up with a big flap of product, which is not appealing to the eye. So in the matter to get a product which the customer then in the end has a look on it and says, okay, this looks like chicken, this looks like fish, or this looks like beef, we have to change the look of the product. And that's where we step into to get from a raw material that we put into our machine, cut it to a product that's already able to be sold in a package.
Hmm.
So this is the most important point. So we want to get the look of the alternative here. And to get to your second part of the question, to reduce waste, we try to optimize our tools and knives we use. So there's the smallest amount of waste produced in our machine. So we have a high efficiency here to get the most out of the raw material we put in our machines.
Hmm. So, in terms of application and versatility, given that the diversity of alternative protein products, I'm curious to know the full range of applications for Holac cutters. How does your technology ensure optimal performance across all different product types, from
Hmm.
burgers to minces, for instance?
Hmm. So depending on the application you're looking at, for example, we have like cutting like textured material, like textured protein. Um, we can also cut like, for example, if you have like a block of plant-based cheese or plant-based sausage, you want to cut into small cubes, for example. That's all possible application that can be done here. And by taking the right tools and picking up the right combination of inserts and knives, you can get then the different products. And of course, there's
Hmm.
also some settings on the machine. You can change the sizes and stuff like that. So you're pretty versatile on here. And in the end, it depends on what kind of product you're looking for.
Okay, so when comparing Holac cutters, I'm interested in understanding
Hmm.
the key differences in terms of size, capacity, and
Hmm.
cutting techniques. Are there any specific techniques that are particularly well suited for the requirements of alt protein production?
Hmm. Um, uh, for machinery, like we start with R&D machinery, we can go up to 50, 100 kg an hour. So it's good for trying out how does my plant-based protein behave whilst cutting, because there's always different like protein sources, pea protein, soy protein, and they behave differently while cutting. And then when a company decides, okay, we're done with R&D, we're gonna step up now to the next process of cutting in on industrial level, we can go up on the first step to like roughly 400, 500 kg an hour. And then the next step is like up to 1 ton an hour. So
Mhm.
then we are already on a high capacity level and there's still air up. So we can even like scale up to 2 ton an hour, maintaining the same quality of cut.
Mhm. So you can actually work with companies from the back end of the startup phase all the way to
Yes,
the growth phases. That's
that's
fantastic.
correct.
So,
That's
are
correct.
there any unique features or advantages that make your machine stand out?
Yeah. Um, what we try to at least do in the high capacity range to optimize as much as possible. Because when we then look at lowering the production costs in the facility, you want to use as less labor work as possible.
Mm.
So we try to then optimize our machinery. So you can use only one operator to take care of the whole production line on this
Mhm.
side. And product-wise, we then also develop different cutting tools depending on the customer's needs here, so that the customer gets the right product he wants.
Mhm. Um, on that theme, actually, I mean, are you able to
Mm-hmm.
discuss the level of customization available with your machines and how they can be tailored to meet the specific requirements of different
Mm-hmm.
processes and product variations?
Yeah, I can go a little bit into detail here. So customization wise, so usually you have a in-feed conveyor which can be customized to customer needs. So depending on the space that's available for the machinery, we can do there some customization. And the biggest customization is on the cutting tools there. They can be designed different geometries so that the geometry matches the needs of the customer. So either he wants more natural looking edges or he wants more sharp edges. We can do all these design options here for the customer. And
Mhm.
that's all up to the customer. We have, of course, some standardized cutting tools, which we then usually offer the customer. But we always tell them, in case you need something specific, let us talk. We can decide, okay, is there maybe already some tools that are suitable for this application? Or do we have to design some new tools, or maybe change the process a bit and stuff like that?
You mentioned previously that precision cutting can greatly improve production efficiency. And could
Hmm.
you share any metrics or case studies that demonstrate the potential labor
Hmm.
cost reductions or efficiency gains that can be achieved
Hmm.
with your machinery?
Mm, it's difficult to tell one metric number how much it's um, raising the efficiency of the whole process, because there's a lot of factors you have to consider. So it depends, of course, where the company is currently at the moment with their processes. So when they use a machinery, um, they will reduce then the costs. But for example, if you look on our smallest machine, it's a hand-loaded machine. So you need at least one person operating all the time the machine. So they
Mhm.
have to put in product. In comparison to the full automated machine, you just put it on the process. You have one operator filling the machine, and then all the rest is done by the machine. There's no need of interaction with the operator and the machine here.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say it's difficult to fix like a specific number of how much you can save there on production side. But there's also the possibility, if you like want to go for a higher throughput, you can increase the number of blades, for example. So instead of using a single blade, you can add up to 2 blades or 4 blades or 8 blades, and then of course increase the throughput that can be done with the same machine and the
Mhm.
same amount of operators.
You previously mentioned automation. How seamlessly can your cutters integrate with automation systems? Are there any examples of implementations that you can share?
Hmm. Um, so automation wise, um, there is some possibilities to put the machine in line with the already existing production line. So you can either put a master, how it's called, master control unit on top of that machine. So all the processes before our cutting machine and all the follow-up processes can be then controlled by this master unit. And there's also possibilities to include some automation within the machinery. So just like keeping like changing the waiting time so that there's enough product to be cut, and for example. But this depends on the customer. So there's some customers they don't want it. Some customers they have already like a master control unit installed in the factory, so they probably want their machinery to be included in this master unit. So it pretty much depends on the customer. Um, but I would say in general that the customers really tend more to automated versions of the machinery rather than the hand loaded and really like isolated machinery on the other side.
Mhm. Could you give me, let's just say I'm a plant-based
Hmm.
meat manufacturer and I'm making sausages or burgers. Could you give me
Hmm.
some specific examples of how you can help me optimize my processes?
Mm-hmm. Um, so what we've done at one customer, since he was manually changing the waiting time on the machine, we adapted a software there with sensors. So the machine then knows when there's enough product to be cut and then starts the cutting process. So there's no need for the operator to change the settings manually, which you can obviously. So you can just keep the machine running and so the machine cuts with a full magazine. So there's like no empty magazine. So you're more on a higher efficiency and the machine is only running when it's needed.
Mhm.
So there's like no empty runs of the machine. So you can also reduce energy costs on this side.
Oh, this leads me on to my next point, actually. So, how can your machinery contribute to sustainable practices in this sector? It's obviously important that they're developing these more
Mm-hmm.
sustainable products, but they have to be developing them and producing them in the most sustainable way possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are any specific features or technologies that reduce environmental
Um,
impact?
so what we're the latest project we dived into is to like track the energy consumption of the machine.
Mhm.
And then on the other hand, also provide this information for the producing company here. So they then can have like a transparent view at what point in the process that happened through the cutting, what kind of energy is used here.
Mhm.
And of course, the other one that I already mentioned right now was to optimize the cutting. So you just cut when you have a full magazine. So you have the highest efficiency, the biggest output, and you only cut when it's full enough to be cutted,
Mhm.
if that makes sense in a
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, that makes sense. Now, I want to paint a picture for our
Mhm,
listeners and our readers. Could you describe the process of working with you
mhm,
with Holac to customize a machine for a particular application? What kind of collaboration is involved? What does that look like?
mhm. So usually when a customer has a demand for a new product or they're developing new product, they usually approach me. So
Mhm.
I have an initial call or visit them and discuss with them what their needs are, what they're exactly looking for, and how this would be then implemented in our cutting process. And then I go back to Holac, talk to the application engineering team, to the engineering team with electrical and mechanical engineering, and discuss what solution we can provide the customers. And then usually we provide some prototypes of tools and send them to the customer on site and try them out how they work. And then
Mhm.
we do some refining, design change, so that matches the process of the customer, which he would then be satisfied with.
Mhm. And presumably it doesn't end there. In terms of after sales support, what sort of support are you offering the customers, and how do you ensure that your customers have access to that
Mhm.
timely and effective assistance?
So as you mentioned in the intro, we're like globally active. So um, we only do direct sale in Germany,
Mhm.
and the other countries around the world, we have distributors and agencies that work for us. So if you're like abroad and you bought a machine from Holac, you usually buy it from the distributor, and then the distributor provides that service for the after sales. So usually they firstly contact the distributor on site, which will then probably do service within 24 hours, which we try to achieve here. And if it's a bigger issue, then they will contact Holac and we will step into there to find a solution how to solve the issue.
Um, Now, obviously, you're working alongside your customers, but are there any other collaborations or partnerships within this space that
Mhm.
contribute to how you develop and refine your products? Are you working with
Um,
institutes or universities,
mhm.
for instance?
We work in Germany, especially with the DIL, the German Institute of Technology. They have a extrusion plant together with Bühler, and we are also part of that. And there we have a cutting machine of ours, and where we can mimic like a production facility with the whole process.
Mhm.
And we are directly into contact there to get the latest information about new developments on the market, and also how if there's any issues with the machine that can be changed design wise, and that's where we try to step in. Of course, we have also other collaborations with extruder equipment provider, um, all around the world, and so we try to be there ahead of the research and development of new trends and new products that happen there on the market.
Now, Elvedin, I'm going to be meeting you in it's about 6 or 7 weeks now in Amsterdam at the Future of Protein Production. That you get around a lot. You go and visit your customers all the time. You've got lots of shows. What's exciting for you in this industry in terms of product development? What areas of the industry are really ticking your box at the moment?
Mm, um, the most interesting part are like, I would say, the new ingredients involving on the market right now. So I think there was enough research done on soy protein. Pea protein stepped a bit in because it's more locally produced. And now there's new protein sources that are done through precision fermentation or biomass fermentation, which then can also substitute other ingredients here. And I think this will gonna be a game changer in taste and texture wise, and also will ensure that the cutting is done more easily and more precise in the matter of the customer, what they want to see on the market. And I think there's a lot of change on the market, and I will be happy to see if all those three technologies like extrusion, fermentation, and cultivated meat step up at some point and merge into each other to like have a master technology there. So you take the best part of each technology and merge them to get a better product here.
Samples are often doing the rounds at these events as well. Have you tasted anything that's just made you think, wow, that's crazy, that's amazing?
I've tested some, I think it was micro protein, some products with micro protein, which I was really surprised how small of an off taste you have. So I think it was based on pea protein, and they did some like fermentation there. And there was no off taste of pea protein, which you usually have in those products. So I was really surprised here, and you had really tenderous and like fibrous structure, which like was really meat-like to me, which I didn't expect actually, to be honest. And the other part, which is also more interesting, are those 50-50 products, which like hybrid products, which appear on the market, which I think are the best products for now to arise on the market. I've like a few weeks ago, I tried the 50-50 burger patty. It was like 50% beef meat, 50% plant-based ingredients. And to be honest, if you don't know, you wouldn't even taste it, that it's like half meat only and not 100% beef. So I was really surprised on that. And I think just by adding those 50-50 burger patties, for example, and reducing the price here on meat and reducing the meat consumption, you can already like contribute to like climate change and other topics here.
Yeah, or just cutting down by 50% would make a huge difference with it. And we saw Lidl in the Netherlands, they've announced that they're going to be introducing a 50-50. No, it's not a 50-50. I think it's a 60-40 blend of mince, so beef and pea protein, I think it was. So yeah, all of these little things make a difference. Now, finally, Elvedin, what's Holac's vision for future innovations and developments in alternative protein machinery? Are there any specific areas of research and development that you're currently focusing on? I'm just wondering how all of these, what do they call them, Industry 5.0 technologies might come into the production process in the future.
So, of course, we're doing development here because we're already producing a lot of tools, but also looking on the process, how you can improve the process. And I would say the biggest demand on the market right now is for like a hand tiered off look. So it really looks like your grandma cooked some chicken and teared it off with her own hands. And we're trying to replicate that with a tearing off of the product in a manner that the impact, it's not so much that you destroy the structure of the product, rather than just like tearing it off. And I think this would be probably a big game changer on the market when this appears. And we are also trying to modularize our machinery in that way that we can add on existing machineries. So customers that already bought a machinery can add up those modules in their cutting process to improve the cutting, to get a better texture, to get a better look. So you get an overall better result with the same machine just by adding those modules. So we tried there. So not that the customer has to buy a completely new machine, rather than buying just a module you can add to our machine, and then you can improve your production.
Makes sense. And it's especially for limited funds for some startups in this sector. It just, yeah, great stuff. Look, Elvedin, thank you very much for your time. Really looking forward to meeting you in Amsterdam. Yeah, take care.
Thank you very much. Bye,
Cheers.
Nick.